Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, August 24th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here that we've gotten a major breakout from the narrow range that we've been talking about over the last week of trading. This range right here has developed on a 10-day narrow range basis, as you can see here. But even if you move it out to an 11, 12, or even 13-day basis, it's still compressed for that time frame. But here's a 10-day basis here, and we're seeing already expansion out of the range. There's a couple of ways that we can calculate the target on this. Number one, this failed low right here was already a jumping off point here for price, and that low comes in right around 33.40s, 33.45 basically. And we have about 154 points of likely range expansion that we're going to see in the ES over the next 5 to 7 days, maybe the next 5 to 10 days. We could see about 154 points of range. Now, if we're going from this low here, the 33.45s, and forecast higher about 154 points, you're going to get about 3,500. So 3,500 could be the easy next target here for the ES. Now, the other way to calculate the potential breakout could be as a breakout from the range. Since this was the range and this is the breakout is happening here at 3,400 plus 154 points. We could be looking at a move into about 35.45. So those are a couple of targets right there between 3,500 and 35.45 where we could see a very nice landing point here for price in the couple of weeks ahead, likely into the end of the month. Again, if you look at the way that the month has played out so far, this has been a very bullish month from the first opening morning overnight low higher. It's been higher day over day. Even though it held here, it's gathering steam for one more move into the end of the month, and it will likely close on highs next Monday. After that, we will see what happens in September. A pullback into the pivot range could be ahead, as we haven't tested it this month, which is very odd. Usually high odds of testing the pivot range at some point during the month. I thought it may happen here, but again went sideways instead. Now the upside break suggests more upside ahead until proven otherwise. Okay, now if there is a major rejection, say by the end of the day we close below 3,400, something significant may have happened. So there's always that potential right there. But as of right now, everything continues to flow higher until proven otherwise. Alright, let's take a look here at the NQ. This one has nearly reached our full-on 1,000 point upside target. What we were looking at before was this key range right here, and if it broke through the top of that key range, it could give us a target of 11,723. On this breakout day here, we had a bullish outside day with a midpoint that was 10,700, and I mentioned that day if we pull back to 10,700, there could be potentially a plus 1,000 up to 11,723, and the low on this day was 691, so it went 9 points below 10,700 there, and has now been all positive excursion. We had one pullback into the PIMA trigger zone, and of course we've continued to flow higher, so we are very close to that 11,723 upside target. And again, that target is measured from the impulsive downside rally that we saw. So we saw this push here and then a rally up, pullback, and that gave us a key range to work off of with the first major target here at 11,723. The secondary target, which is the primary target, is going to be 12,388. We could drop back as deep as the 11,580s and still be a buying opportunity for 12,380s down the road. So again, we could be looking at a further continuation out to this target based off of this impulse move, as long as price continues to stay above 11,058 half. Okay, let's take a look at crude oil here. Now, crude oil has continued to trade sideways for the most part. It's needling up in a way that is starting to be a little curious here, because again, one pattern that kind of sticks out is this type of pattern here, where you have a trend that's going up, but the higher highs are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It creates a needle-like pattern here, and at some point what happens is you get a major sell-off or a pullback as these higher highs just continue to get rejected. So the stops come out. A breakthrough 41s would be huge. You can see a major support in that zone here. So if this were to break 41s, that would also be the midpoint of this key range. So at the very least, a failure to hold 41 could open up the 38.72, which is the previous low. That could be a spot to look to buy back up for bulls, as that is also near the previous month's low. But if there is a failure to hold that zone, again, we have downside targets that take us to the lower extensions here. 36.32 and 33.92 could be the next major targets here in that case of a 41 break. Until then, though, we continue to trade within this narrow range. This range is nearly 15 days long now. You can see here it's been on a 10-day narrow basis for 5+ days running. This thing is compressed, and it could continue to chop until proven otherwise. So look to avoid the chop for now, but as soon as we see directional conviction out of this range, it could be a very significant move ahead. The way that the pattern is needling up here, again, it could continue to just quietly needle higher until that day where the stops come out. All right, let's take a look here at gold futures. Now gold looks like it has another major wave of strength coming, whether that's a short-term push or whether that leads to even more strength, we'll see. But the way that it's building out right now, again, strong low here gave us a key range low. We've continued to hold the 1920 to 1928 zone of support. The previous session we had a nice push down below it and bounced. That gave us a buy signal here with a midpoint retest that's currently in play right now. This type of price action typically opens the door to a move back toward 2020 to 2030, which is right in the zone, so that's 2020. And if we can get through that area, then perhaps we got more upside ahead. But what could happen is we bounce and continue to build out in this zone for a while, and then we see the further downside or expansion down the road. Now that expansion here, if it does take off to the upside, again, we have major upside targets that we can play to. This target right here is 2196s, and this one's 2304. So 2200 and 2300 could be the next major upside targets. Right now we're trading 1956s and building energy. So this energy building phase could take a little bit longer, but once it's ready to go, we have some major upside targets that could be hit. So we'll see how this develops here. In the short term, if it continues to hold the previous session, we have generally an upward bias for today. 1940 is the level. Can it continue to hold 1940 to 1935 today? If so, we may have a shot to return back toward recent highs into 2020. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.